Hi everybody, my name is Leah, and in this video I'll be going over 7 tips for teleconferencing/video conferencing. I've worked within the world of talent acquisition for quite some time now, and I've helped companies not only grow and scale to build their team that they want, but also candidates and individuals as they've sought to navigate their career and really carve out their path from intermediate individuals to managers, directors, and more. I run a recruitment agency now and work with a lot of different companies and know that video conferencing/teleconferencing continues to be a pain point for a lot of companies. So hopefully these tips and kind of ground rules are helpful for you just to make everybody be on that same page. I'll be making a series of these videos, so feel free to hit that subscribe button and tap that notification bell so you know when that next video comes out. As we move into a very remote culture, there are some individuals who are simply less familiar with teleconferencing/video conferencing. So I'll go over some general ground rules to help you and your team. My hope is that this is informative, and if so, you can share amongst your team members so that everybody is on the same page, because that is always helpful. Number 1, mute yourself. If you're not talking, you gotta put yourself on mute. So the reason for this is because even if you're shuffling papers and it doesn't sound like a lot, right? You're doing this, or if you're typing, right? Answering emails or doing some other things, and that's multiplied by everybody else who's on that conference call, whether that's just one other person or 10 people, it's just very distracting to have that extra noise. Also, typing, though it sounds quiet to you, on a microphone, it can be very loud. Make sure you're silenced, put yourself on mute, and then all is calm on the audio. Number 2, have a good connection, whether it's cell phone or a Wi-Fi connection if it's a video call. And the reason for this is because what consistently seems to happen if it's intermittent is that you'll be talking about, say, some important timelines or targets. So for example, if I'm saying the quarterly earnings are, and we're very happy that this primary stream came through at, and we expect a deliverable of, what do you think? Or are we all in agreement? And nobody knows, because the most important piece of information is gone. For whatever reason, it's like the 3rd syllable of whatever sentence is being said is just chopped out, and the technological gods know exactly when to cut out at that precise moment in time, so nobody knows what was actually determined. As like an observation, the sentence, "is this better?" is never long enough for people to really be able to know if this is better or not. So just try to have a good Wi-Fi or cell phone connection. Sometimes there are extenuating circumstances, of course, but your entire team will appreciate it and the call will just be much more effective. Number 3, animals. Keep them in a separate room. This can be dependent on culture, but in general, they can be pretty distracting both for yourself and other people on the call. A barking dog is very loud. It's a pretty piercing noise for a lot of people, especially if you're not on mute. It could just be helpful just to keep Rover in a different room just for the duration of the call that you're on. This can also be variable. I mean, if your office is one that's open concept and has pets pretty regularly, that can be a different scenario, but in general, it can be helpful just to have them in a different space. Comment below. Let me know if there are some common conference call fumbles that you have seen, maybe you've done yourself, and also be sure to tap that like button for the YouTube algorithm. Number 4, try to make sure it's on your face. The camera, whatever you're using, because if they're just looking at your shoulder the entire time, this defeats the purpose of having a video call. Also, this shoulder, really the same thing. It defeats the purpose of having a Hangouts and a video stream in the first place. This would also not be incredibly interesting or helpful, because this is really just a wall. Or even if they're just seeing, whatever artwork you have. So generally, the point of a video conferencing call is to be able to see everybody on the screen. 5, say your name. This really is just for conference calls that are audio, not video and audio. But if it's a telephone conference call and there is no video, it's helpful just to state your name at the beginning of whenever you're speaking. This can help provide context. For example, I would say, Leah speaking, Leah here. I'll talk about and do a review of my quarterly earnings. Number 6, unmute yourself. So just as I mentioned earlier in this video, to put yourself on mute when you're not talking, when you're supposed to talk, make sure that you are off of mute. The mute button is your friend. If you're using new software that you're less familiar with, even on your own phone, and you don't use the mute button very often, see where it is when you first hop on that software and then familiarize yourself with it. This can be simply helpful, say if you're doing an update within the team and it's your turn to speak, but all people hear is this. So this can just help to make sure by unmuting yourself and muting yourself when appropriate that your meeting is actually on time. And the last point is, don't move. This really is just if you are doing a video conference call with a number of other individuals, certainly log in with whatever device you have available to you. So maybe that's your laptop, your computer, your cell phone, and whatever is compatible with the portals that you are using. But if there are a couple of people, say everybody else is using a stationary desktop, and you're using, for example, if there are a couple of people using their phone and they decide to do this, so they're walking around and they're talking about like the quarterly results and what's going on and what they expect, and it just can be like a lot of motion sickness essentially for everybody else who's on the call, because all they see is just this moving background. Nobody wants to have motion sickness when they're on a call because there's a bunch of movement going on with people who are also on the call. Again, just make sure that you are stationary, have the video on your face, and you'll be able to be a good, meaningful contributor to that conversation. Unless your video feed is turned off, you don't have to worry about that. But if your video feed is on and you want to engage with the rest of your team, those are all strategies and tips that can be helpful, just making it a much more enjoyable experience for everybody. And if you found this helpful at all, feel free to share with your teammates or other folks who are really exploring this remote world and culture, and if they may be newer to diving into the world of video or teleconferencing. Also, if you'd like to join a community of teams and folks who are exploring this world of remote culture and work, both companies that are hiring and candidates who are looking for potential opportunities, feel free to join my Facebook community. I'll link it down below and you can check it out. If you found this video at all helpful, don't forget to tap that like button. Feel free to subscribe, give that bell a little bit of a nudge, just so that you can be updated on this next segment within this series.